I was born in New York City. My father was a cardiologist at Columbia University. But when I was a little child, my parents moved back to India. So I was very blessed in the sense that I'm bicultural. So I was comfortable in both cultures. But my parents were very God-fearing, simple, hardworking folks, and they had a very strong sense of ethics. My mother particularly is very God-fearing, and so the faith was a very important fabric in our lives. My father always told me, it's not going to be the money you make or what you do, it's going to be the good that you do. He says, at the end of the day, God is going to ask you, what good did you do? And so I always ask myself, am I doing the right thing? Am I being ethical? And so I think the one thing I'm always grateful to my parents for, they gave me a value system. My first school I went back to India was run by Spanish nuns. And it was a great education. Then I actually went to a Jewish middle school, and so that was very interesting. And then finally I went to a high school run by the Christian Brothers, and it was St. Columba's High School. I then went to medical school in India, in the south of India, and then I did my training in New York and Pittsburgh. Our story is a true Philadelphia story. I had a Jewish mom in Philadelphia who adopted me.
She was very determined to have us meet and made sure that we met, and I'll forever be grateful for her for that. She brought us together.
My wife was the best thing that ever happened to me. So I always tell people, she really is the rock of Gibraltar in my life, and I'm very fortunate.
He told Dr. McDonald, do you really want a Hindu boy and his Yankee wife in the Bible Belt? We didn't quite know what to expect when we came down here. In fact, we both had to look on a map to find out where Shreveport, Louisiana was.
We were without any neurosurgery service here, and we were looking desperately for someone to come in and take charge of this service and try to develop it.
He was very articulate. You could definitely tell in the initial interview, one that was very skilled, one that was very intellectual, one that was very confident, but at the same time did not have an ego.
The most impressive thing about Dr. Nanda is if you go back and look at his history, in that he came to LSU Health Sciences Center a little over 20 years ago. And in that time, with not major resources really available to him, he built one of the premier neurosurgical programs in the country.
The passion he has towards his patients, I think he feels very devoted to them, and he always says that they give him more than he has given them.
Medicine is an art. It's a science, but it's an art too. And I think the humanism of what we practice is so important, to treat people with compassion, to treat them with kindness, and to treat them without, knowledge of what their financial status is. And I always tell the residents, I don't care if you're from Angola or you're from the governor's family, we're going to treat you the same, we're going to treat you well, and we're going to do the right thing.
He truly loves what he does. When we first got married, he would come home and say, I can't believe they pay me to do this. They're paying me to do this.
The guy is one of the most skilled neurosurgeons in the country, bar none. And if you look at his clinical outcomes, they support that skill level.
Obviously, his expertise as a neurosurgeon is just so well known, not only in the state of Louisiana, but throughout the country. He's what we refer to in medicine, a neurosurgeon's neurosurgeon.
He has a tremendous intellect. His memory is truly all-encompassing. He's very widely read. He has a unique ability to remember bits of knowledge that he's picked up in his wide reading and apply those to the current situation in which he's embroiled.
I think he obviously is very dedicated to what he does. He loves teaching the residents. He loves his patients. And I think that all makes him special.
He feels he has a moral obligation, a spiritual obligation to take care of the less fortunate, not only of this community, but the entire region.
I think this is a wonderful community, and I feel very privileged to give back to it. We just passed the Louisiana Concussion Act for football players. You know, it's a wonderful thing to do. Senator Cheek's help, Governor Jindal help, the NFL's help, and now we passed a law that makes it safer for football players. When they have young kids have concussions, we're going to be much more careful. So that's a wonderful community thing that we have done.
We came down, or at least I came down, thinking we'd be here 2 years. That was the initial plan, and 21 years later, we're still here. We had 3 children, and as anybody knows, raising 3 kids will keep you really busy. And so the years just kind of gone by. I never really thought we'd ever say, well, now's the time to move, because we never really felt like that.
So my son is in college. My boys are my daughter and son in high school. They decided they want to go to boarding school, but we visit them a lot. So my wife and I go together. We become premature empty nesters. One of the best persons I trained was an Israeli neurosurgeon when I was doing my fellowship. We were talking about uninsured patients in Israel, uninsured patients in Louisiana. And he said it's all about doing a mitzvah. And a mitzvah is a Hebrew word for good deeds. And that's a lesson I've always remembered, that in the end of the day, you're doing a mitzvah, you're doing a good deed. And I think if you can do a few mitzvahs, life is worth it all.
He's the absolute epitome of the world's greatest optimist. You hear everyone's familiar with the saying about the glass that's either viewed as half full or half empty. Well, Anil Nanda always sees the glass as completely full.
He's a very generous person. Not only is he gifted, but he's very spiritual, very charitable, very giving. He's one of a kind.
He is. He's my world. I mean, he really is. I never thought that 21 years ago when we walked down the aisle and got married, that I would continue to be surprised and excited and even more in love with him than I was that day. It's been a fantastic ride, and it's never boring.